Hello. Hey, hey, hey. Let's see. Today. Yeah, today. Oh, let me get my music back. I've already done a few, but for the most part, we're going to be. Let's see. Let me just show you some of the things I've already done. Yeah, so these are some of the assets I've already made, and I'm going to be using them to make a ROM environment. Let me see what do I need here. I want to first show you some of the previews I've rendered. Yeah, so that's one of the assets. And I'm making this pack for my Patreons. So if you are a Patreon, this is going to be, you will be able to get these assets to use in your projects. Another one, let me get this. Yeah, this is another asset that is going to be in the medieval pack. So let me first switch my internet connection here for a moment. Okay, I guess we can get started. Let's go to art session. I'll find something that we could use for inspiration, and then, yeah, do something. Just find some ROM scene that we can do. Let me see. I want kind of like a garden look. I want to create a garden overlooking the city. So let's see what we can get here. I think this is a nice piece. Let me see what else we could use. We're just gathering some reference images to use. Like this view, maybe we can have, yeah, maybe we could do something like this and see. The issue is it's going to be these trees here. These look like I don't have a lot of trees. Maybe we could use the, this is also not too bad, but I think I've done something like this. So let's try doing something like this. I'll bring this to create a new project here. Save image. Bring this in. Okay, so this is what we're going to try and do. Something like this. So as I said, I've already made a few assets and we're going to use those. So let's get right to it. I'm going to bring in my quick functions add-on and just go to the library and look for some medieval objects or buildings. Again, this asset pack is going to be available to my Patreons. If you're a Patreon, I should be able to get this. So let me go to my collection, untitled. Let me begin with this building here. This building block. You can see how that looks. Let me make sure that I have ambient occlusion turned on. There may be even increase the Hey Tusha Maure, how are you? Now we want to create a medieval compound, so I will have the camera around here as well. And, let me make sure that my end clip is set at something high. I like that. And I'll call this Rome City. I like that. And hello, Maglara Xerox, how are you? You turn on a sky texture here. Cycles. Just set up everything that is necessary. I also go to my quick functions and I want to use this color effect. I think this building can be in the center of our world. Let me pull back the camera even more. What does this start and end in cam props do? Start and end in cam props? I'm not sure what you mean. Just pull back the camera even further. And let me get another camera, another object. So I'll open up a new blend file. Just get a few buildings here. Think I need to get these, so let me add it to my library. First, give it a quick render. I'll go to my render settings and just first remove. What do I want to? I want to remove the color just a bit. Render this. Save. And I can come back here and I think I should have the asset added. Yep. Okay, so now we have a second building like that. And since it's being linked in as an object, we can easily have a few of these in different locations. So going to just duplicate them around a bunch of times like that. And let me also add a plain, scale it up like this, give it the same material as well. I think our view distance has to be a bit longer. So just bring this here. Have another building. So let's see. Okay, not bad. think I'm also going to change the camera angle, the rotation angle of the sun to maybe something like 45. Hello, fire in the sky, burning trap. How are you doing? How are you? It's been a while. Anyway, let's go back to the color management here. Let me bring back my music. You can type. Just bring the gamma down a bit. Okay. I've also maybe let me increase the sun size just so we have some nice soft shadows. Let's say 5, so they are not long, so that the shadows are long and soft. I like that. I think we need to populate in a few characters like this to make everything look to give scale to our scene. So let me first pause the render there for a minute and look for Sodia. I have a Roman Sodia here. I'll just add them into the scene. It's going to take a moment to compile shaders, but here he is. I want to make a very low version of him. So first of all, let me make sure that actually from the view distance we're going to be viewing this from, we don't really need a detailed model. Let me just grab this guy here. This guy here, add him to the scene. Like that. And also want to dress him up like a Roman, so I'll grab a cloth element. Again, these assets are all going to be available to my Patreons after I complete the pack I'm working on. So let me first make him wear this Roman cloth. Let me first isolate this project for a bit. Turn on random colors. Bring out the sculpt tool. Just do something like that. Something simple, and maybe elongate this cloth element a bit. That. Just give him this so that he looks like a Roman, something like that. And he still has a shirt in underneath, so what I'm going to do is just grab. I don't think it's going to matter a lot since we are going to be seeing him from a good distance. So what I'm going to do is just go back to the quick functions add-on, make editable, and just another thing I want to do is go to the let me go back to the images here, the textures that he's using, and just make sure that my audio is good, and just make sure that the image size we're using is small. We can use a 512 image by 512 image for the texture. Actually, shouldn't. Then I just crushed. I want Roman city. Okay. First, I want to make sure that the textures we're using are not too large, especially for the character, since they're going to be very far away from us, from the camera. So let's just resize this to, let's divide this by 10, so that is very, very small textures. That's good. Let me look for another, let me see. Yeah. Let's go back to render preview. Yeah, anyone who's just getting here, yeah, we're making kind of this scene here. And I think the character gives us a good scale of reference. So let's have him there. Just pause for a bit. And these assets are going to be available to my Patreons. So if you're a Patreon, yeah, I'm just going to parent this to the object as well, to the armature. So maybe let me even just do with automatic weights, so that when we rig this, we can when we deform the armature, the character also deforms. And I'm also going to reduce the decimate the character, so that we don't have a lot of polygons on him, since again he's going to be very far. Same with the cloth here, going to decimate this, so it's not a lot. And I think I can get away by just joining this, so it's a single mesh. And then I can pause this much easier, and you can see now the viewport is even much faster. Okay, let's make a few pauses out of this. And what I'm going to do is just grab a plane like this, because we want to have a lot of characters around like that. So I'm just going to grab this plane like this, give it a hair system. Or should we use geometry nodes to distribute the particles, the characters? I think we could use geometry nodes to scatter these characters around. So I'm just going to switch to geometry nodes for a bit here. So geometry nodes, create a new geometry node, and what we're going to do is grab points on faces like this. You can see we have a lot of points, and then let me just reduce the density to something small like that. Then another thing I'm going to do is add instances on points, like that. And the instance we want to use is this ROM, this collection here. So I'll just grab him. I'll grab this collection. Where is my... I need my plane. Yeah, this here. And let me bring the character here. Just instance. Actually, I need... Let's create a new... should we? We need to have characters in different poses. So, and in this collection, we have, let me see, just a single character, this mesh here. So, think what we need to do is just grab here, bring this collection. Actually, we just need the plane itself for, so this mesh here. Bring it into this and use it as the instance. So Okay, we have a lot of density, so I'm going to have to reduce this to something more manageable. I like 0.1 or 0.01, and I make sure that I apply the scale and the rotation. Now we have the characters. The great thing about using geometry nodes instead of the particle system to instance the characters here is that we can easily rotate these around. So we can just, we have this rotation option. Basically each point has a rotation. We can use a random vector, random value. Instead of using a float, let's use a vector, and we want only to generate a random value for the rotation, for the Z rotation, and use it as the rotation here, like that, and I can increase the rotation like that. So we have characters like that, and we can also randomize the scale a bit. So the minimum should be 1 or should be less than 1, and the maximum should be something so that we have taller characters as well, so that some are taller, some are shorter, like that. And given that let me see, we can duplicate, let me see, have this man. So let's see how this looks. Yeah, I think it looks nice. I think maybe we might want to scale up our characters a little bit more. Like that. And now let's add a few pillars, a circular something like this. So what I'm going to do is, let me first pause this. I'm going to come, because I want this this building block here to be the center of our world. So what I'm going to do is just come in here and let me divide this. So the center is this. Just add a circle like that, or turn it into a sphere like that, and just do something like that. You want to give this some bit of detail, so I'll add in a few steps like this, just a few steps. Like that, and maybe even insert it even further. So extrude, insert, extrude, insert, just something like that. And now this building is going to be in the center of that world there. Now we can have other buildings around it. So and I'm going to divide this a few times, this mesh a few times, and just give it a shrink wrap modifier. Let's bring back the music. And select this mesh as the shrink wrap modifier. Let me also make sure that the instance is also visible for now. So I'll just use a join geometry here. Join geometry, just so we can see how this instance looks. So I need to bring this up above, and now we have other characters inside and other characters outside. So something like that. Let's go back to this and remove the original geometry, so we have something like that. So basically we have characters, and this should be on the surface like that. Yeah, now let's add some pillars like this, and I've already made a few of those, so I'll look for a column. Again, these all of the assets I made here are going to be available to my Patreon, so if you are a Patreon, yeah, this is for you. Yeah, I'll make some large pillars going around this. So let me turn on random colors for a minute here. Yeah, I want pillars going around like this. So let me bring this, add an array, add a curve, by the way, there is a, maybe let's just use instances again here. I think even the curve editor will be fine. Let me see. You know what? Let's use geometry nodes, because using the array has its own drawbacks. So let me just create a new collection, call it instances, because I don't want these instances to render. So I'll just disable that collection for a minute. But before I do that, let me add a new geometry nodes to this curve, and then I want to instance, you basically do the same thing the array does on here. So we have a curve, and we can get, I'm using geometry nodes here, I can use points on instances. Let me see, and a curve, you have curve to points. Where is dot? Curve to points. And you can see it is distributing points onto the curve like that. And then what we can do, instead of using count, I'm going to use length, so that we have an even distribution of particles like that. And what I want to instance this object here, the column, onto there. So I want to scale this down like that. Now let's see how this looks. Yeah, though the pillars might be a bit too tall, so then maybe let me grab it and just apply the scale. Scale it. Scale it down like that, and I can also just use the rotation here, so that the pillars are always facing the direction of the normal. Right now they are laying down, so let me make sure that I apply the rotation, apply the scale. And also for the curve, let me apply the rotation of that as well, and the scale. Okay, what's going on here? Let me reduce the density. Let me first reduce the density. Of the particles here. Yeah, so so that we don't have too many. Now to rotate them, let me see. I need to break up this rotation, because I think the rotation is for some reason is just having these is changing the rotation of this side, which is not something I want. So let me see if we break up the rotation using the vector separate x, y, z. And then I combine x, y, z here. So we want, yeah, like that. So what I didn't want is I wanted the x to stay 0, so that these are always pointing up. And I also might want to add 90 degrees to the z rotation, so I'll add a utility math node here and just add 90 degrees. I think these are radians, so I'm not sure what 90 degrees would be. So let's see, 1, until they're all facing towards the center like that. Now if I pause this render this for a bit, so the issue we're having is that yeah, I don't want all of these to be there. So what I'm going to do is you know what, actually I think maybe I want that. So let me get a ring, not that. Yeah, let me get this here, add it to the scene. Just duplicate it, have something like that. And I think we can have these pillars downward. So I'm going to go to the instance here, just make a copy of this. Duplicate it like that, so that we have 2 columns supporting the beam like that. Or the better way to have done this is simply using, instead of editing the original mesh in edit mode, let me do this in geometry nodes as well. So here I can duplicate this geometry by adding a transform geometry. So geometry, transform geometry like this, and add a join geometry node here, and another one like that. So I can move this on the, let me see, y axis like that, and yeah, basically doing exactly what I did without editing this, because that will duplicate the geometry we are having, the geometry in the scene, which will slow down what we're doing. So unpause this, and we have something like that. Now another thing I want to do is let me look at, add some damage to some of these blocks. Let's see if we can do that using geometry nodes as well. So first, let's go back to this instance. Let me isolate it for a second. So this is our geometry. We want to make some of these pillars damaged. One thing we could do is add a cube. So geometry and mesh primitives. Yeah, thank you, Ajay. Deep sea. Thank you. We can let's use an icosphere, I think. Now, if we preview this, we have the icosphere looks like this, we can increase the subdivisions, and we can get a set position under geometry, set position, geometry set position. Then grab a noise modifier, a noise texture, I think, noise texture like this, and I use it as the offset for the position, so we can have some noise like that. Can scale this up, can scale the noise up like that. Let me see if I grab, the normal position, geometry normal, maybe let me see, because I want the noise to be distributed in all directions. So if I grab the normal times, so vector math, and add the noise, I think that gives us not exactly what I thought it would, but let's amplify this noise a bit. You multiply by multiplying it, so it's kind of offsetting the entire thing. Anyway, instead of using geometry nodes, let's actually, let me first undo this. I want to preview this here. Instead of using geometry nodes for this, where are my nodes? Okay, for some reason my node setup has been disrupted, so I have a curve here. Now before I see this is what I have. Should simply be a curve, and have points distributed on it. Curve to points. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on here, or why these nodes are no longer working. Because this is a curve here, let me just redo this setup. So we need a curve object like this, add a new geometry nodes, and I need these pillars, this pillar here. Grab this, bring the pillar. So under point, under curve, we can instance, we need points on, where is this? Curve to points, like that, and then instances to points, and then geometry, instances on points, and then geometry to be the instance. We need the curve scale to be applied. So I'll just scale this down like that. Like that, and scale this up. Again, we want this to be rotated, to be 2. Each column to be 2. So to do that. For some reason, we had already set this up, but yeah, it kind of disappeared or stopped working. So let's do it again. I'll grab a geometry transform node and geometry so that we can move this on the x-axis, but I also want the original one to stay in place. So I'll use a join geometry here, so we can displace one and keep the other. So I'll displace this on the x like that, but I want this to follow the rotation of the curve, so I'll just use the rotation here, which will lay this flat. And so instead of having that, I'll just do a vector separate xy, vector separate y, separate x, combine, vector combine, so that I can zero out the x direction, because that's for some reason that is being pushed around. And another thing I need is to scale this again, apply the scale, bring this up like that. Yeah, something like that. So we have this supported. Yeah. Another thing we wanted to do is have some of these broken. And what I can do is first, because I want to add a displacement modifier, a Boolean modifier here to kind of break off. Let me first have this render. Break off some of these. Make sure that I'm saving. Break off some of these pillars, and maybe we can make this a bit thicker. Yeah, like that. And pull the camera back even further so that we can reveal most of the city. That's spread these instances even further like that. Love your work, Belgium here. Oh, thank you, Lynn Calucci. Thank you, really appreciate that. And so what have you guys been up to lately? Because most of the time I was working on this park here. So what have you guys been up to yourselves? I'll get rid of this light. Yeah, so I want to break off some of these pieces. So I need to add a mesh, a cube here, subdivide it a few times. Actually, before I even subdivide it, I can round it off like that and add a displacement modifier, a displacement modifier with a clouds texture like that. And we can use the global option like that. Now we can maybe subdivide this a few more times. Just bring the scale up. For the noise, I like that. Now we can even use proportional editing to just deform this a bit further. Like that. I'm going to use this, change this to wireframe, and select this object, use a Boolean object. Now this piece you can see is broken here, which is nice. Are you in geometry nodes? I still haven't tried it. Top stuff here. Yeah, I'm switching between geometry nodes and the crude way of making things in Blender. I just saw because I haven't. I'm also just new to geometry nodes, so I'm practicing while I'm doing this. So here, I also want this geometry to have. Let me see, a Boolean. Actually, you can do this directly in geometry node. So under here, under this, I can bring in this object, which is going to be our Boolean object. So let me select this, bring it here, and use a geometry Boolean. I think, let me just search for mesh Boolean. here and just select this mesh as the boolean. But because these are still instances, we need to realize them so that they are so under instances, we need to realize instances for this to work. The issue we are going to run into is that geometry has a lot of that column has a lot of polygons, so Blender is going to hang. So let me just, before it crashes my PC, let me end it. So I'll come in here, open it again. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is go back to the original instance and just read. You can see it's quite a dense mesh, has a lot of polygons. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the decimate modifier and just remove some of that geometry, since it's not, and you can see even removing almost 90% of the geometry is it's not really affecting the shape that much, so I'm happy with that. You can see, yeah, I think now the column is much lighter. We can still reduce the polygon count, but I think that's okay. So if we come back here, this should be much lighter. So I'll just bring the, let me first realize instances here. You can see now that operation is much faster. Then use the bool and a mesh. It's a boolean mesh here. Which is still very, very slow in geometry nodes for some reason. Okay, this is very slow. Let me again. Let's again realize the instances here. Instance, realize instance. This time let's just use the boolean operation under modifier. Modifiers. Okay, we have an issue here. We can't use the booleans here because this object here is a curve object, and curves don't really support booleans. So our best option is to use the booleans in here, which is going to have an issue. Anyway, let me just do this directly using we want some of these to be broken. Like that. So I'm going to have this in the boolean collection. Just make sure that this is non-renderable. Yeah, so something like that. You can see now we have a broken piece. Let's bring in more buildings here. So I'll go to, let me just search for Rome, because I know I have a lot of buildings. I'll grab this. Let me see if I can get away by just doing this. So we have a copy of this. Let me also grab one of these. So my camera is here. If I add one of these pillars right on the camera, closer to the camera. And let me also grab some steps. Again, these are all going to be in the asset pack, the ROM asset pack. Just have this here. Let me also duplicate this. You see, I'm going to grab some of these. I think things are starting to look a bit better, except for the back side there. I think we can add in some mountains in the back. Maybe let me play with the angle here so that we're not seeing too much sky. Let me scatter some trees in here as well. Just see how things would look. Of course, these are from Botanic. Hi Zigzag, how are you? Hi all the way from South Africa. How are you? How is South Africa? Ricardo. So Zigzag, is there anything new? It's been a while. I think I've spent a week without streaming.